We are continuing our lessons on the commonly used Excel functions at the basic level. These are functions that, if you are having to take some sort of a test, Excel test for employment, more than likely you will be expected to know these functions. Okay, so in this lesson, we're going to be talking about the three count functions. CountA, and CountBlank. We're going to discuss the differences between the three. Before I do that, what I want to do is hide these four columns. So as you know, I'm going to left click on column F, hold down my mouse button, drag over to column I, and then right click on column I and hit hide to delete. Okay, so the count function, with the count function, you give it a range of cells and it counts all of the cells that contain numbers. Okay, the CountA function will count all the cells that contain numbers, text, or spaces. Think of the A in CountA as alphanumeric. So CountA stands for count alphanumeric, okay? So as long as it's not blank, it's going to be counted. The CountBlank function, on the other hand, counts everything that's blank, okay? So we're going to apply all three of these functions, and then I'm going to change some of the values so that you see how the results of each function ends up being affected. Okay, so I start with equal count. As you know, once I start to type the name of the function and it pops up, I can simply double click it to fill in the function in the open parentheses. Just like we did for sum and average, you can just highlight these four cells that you want to apply it to. And so we're counting the range of B2 through E2. And once you're done with that, go ahead and hit enter. You get an answer of 4 because when it looks at those cells, it sees that all 4 cells have numbers in them. Okay? Now let's try the count alphanumeric. Highlight these 4 cells, hit enter, and you get the same answer because count alphanumeric will count it if it has numbers, if it has text, or if it has spaces. So even if it has spaces, which it'll look blank to the human eye, but it's actually technically not blank. So CountA will pick that up. Okay, CountBlank. Highlight these 3 and hit enter. And you see that the answer for CountBlank is 0 because it will only count the cells if the cell is blank. Okay, so let's go to quarter 3 and simply delete. If I delete the number in quarter 3, what do you think the answers will be for these? What do you think the results will be for these functions? Let's go ahead and delete and see. You see that when I deleted them, count and CountA were 3. CountBlank is now 1 because one of those cells is blank. Okay, I'm going to put a couple of spaces in quarter 3. So I'm just going to type a couple of spaces and hit enter. Now you see how the results change? CountA is still 3 because CountA only counts numbers. And when you look at these 3 cells, only 3 of them have numbers. I'm sorry, let me start over. Count only shows 3 because when we look at these 3 cells, we see only 3 have numbers, okay? CountA has 4 because even though this cell looks blank to the naked eye, I put a couple of spaces in it, so technically it's not blank. Technically something is in it. So CountA says 1, 2, 3, 4 cells have something in it. CountBlank is 0 because even though this cell looks blank, it is not blank because I have spaces in it, so it does not show up for CountBlank. Okay? What do you think would happen if I come to quarter 3 and I type in here TBD, as in to be determined, and hit enter? What do you think the results of these functions will be? Well, let's go ahead and test it and try. You see that the results do not change. Count is still 3 because it only has 3 numbers. CountA is still 4 because none of these are blank. All 4 have something in them. Count blank is still 0 because all 4 cells have something in them. So none of them are blank. Okay, so let me go ahead and undo a couple of times. And that's it for explaining the CountA, and CountBlank functions and the differences between all three. One last thing I would like to mention is that count and these functions will count all types of numbers. So regular numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, numbers here that we have that represent dollar amounts, as well as dates. Dates are also considered numbers. So you can use these count functions with dates as well.